Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Kevin Reeves, and we are starting a series of videos dealing with budget microphones, namely budget vocal microphones. And we're going to start with this one. This is the cheapest of the bunch that I have at $14.95. This is the Monoprice dynamic vocal microphone. It is built incredibly strong, like a 58. It is kind of a 58 knockoff. Although it does have an on-off switch, which is kind of odd. It's got a nice end to it with a windscreen on it. And I ordered it like 3 years ago for $11. It was on sale. Now, I love Monoprice. They make some great stuff. I love their cables. I have a ton of their cables. I'm using their Monoprice tripod right now on this camera that I've got hooked around my computer monitor. They just make great stuff, and it's really inexpensive. And so I sometimes will buy a couple of Monoprice pieces just to see if they're any good or not. And so this was one of the pieces I wanted to try. And so oddly enough, this is a horrible vocal mic. If you want to compare this to a 58 or the Ultra Voice XM8500 from Behringer, which we are going to look at in another video, this microphone is a terrible vocal mic, and I'm going to show you why here in a bit. However, because of its pickup pattern, it makes a fantastic instrument mic. And so what I did was I sent one of these. I ordered a brand new one and had it sent to my buddy and sometimes musical partner, Ian Baird, in Illinois. And I said, would you shoot this out with an Audix i5? Something tells me this would make a really great instrument mic, and I want to see if that's true. The Audix i5 is more of a 57 type clone. It's about $80 to $90. It's a great mic. We love them. And so I wanted to see, could somebody, if shooting this out with an i5, could somebody get away with, in a pinch, this microphone for certain applications, being that it's a $14 microphone? Could it work? And he sent me a bunch of files, and I had the pleasure of going through them and seeing the results, and it's pretty mind-blowing, actually. There's some things you're going to notice where this mic really does shine and where it completely falls over. So without further ado, let's take a listen to some audio. Put this over here. All right, so what we've got here is a Pro Tools session open. I'm not going to show you the screen so that the anonymity of these tracks are retained. You get the full double-blind experience of hearing these tracks and not knowing which is which. I have a control surface over here, the brand new PreSonus Fader Port 8. I'm going to toggle through two microphones per example. We've got the Audix i5 and we've got the Monoprice dynamic microphone. So let's start with clean guitar. I'm switching the mics. Switch. Switch. Now I'm going faster. Oh, all right. So there is the first set of examples. The first mic you heard was the Audix i5, this one. The second mic you heard was the Monoprice. Now, in my opinion, the i5 lacks a little bit of the high-mid bump that you heard in the Monoprice microphone. This, to me, is a matter of taste. Whether you want this sound or you want this smoother. I mean, it is so damn close that literally this would be one of those situations where if you didn't want that bump in that frequency on this Monoprice microphone, literally ringing that out would still get you an incredible sound. I don't see any problem with somebody using this on a guitar cabinet for clean guitar whatsoever. I mean, this to me would be a matter of taste, whether or not this sound is good or this sound is good. I mean, it's literally just a matter of what are you willing to ring out in the EQ. All right, here are the second set of examples. This is a distorted guitar, kind of the same type of playing style as before, but with the overdrive cranked. So here we go, first example. Switch. 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 That's a no-brainer. There's an absolute difference between those two mics. The first example you heard, this one, that is the Monoprice. This one, that's the i5. The i5 wins. The Monoprice, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to do well with a distorted guitar. It really does sound kind of jangly in that high end, and I'm not sure if ringing that frequency out would get you the results you want. This to me is a fuller sound. That's a no-brainer, in my opinion. All right, so this next example is similar. This is a bluesier guitar tone, more on the neck pickup. And this microphone shootout yields the exact same results. Listen to this. So I think you can tell which one from the previous example. You can tell that this one is obviously the i5. This one is the Monoprice. I think the i5 actually does much better at retaining the sound of this cabinet. So this one seems really smooth. And then this one just seems incredibly jangly up in the high end. Has a lot more gack in there. And so again, for distorted guitar, I would totally go with the i5. It just seems to work. That clean guitar example earlier was so subtle that it was a matter of taste. These are not so subtle. These are really obvious differences. All right, so let's check out a snare. So that's a snare. This first one was the i5. This one is the Monoprice. It has that bump again in the kind of the high end. I don't know. To me, this is more of like a matter of taste again, because while I think this one sounds better, I don't think there's anything wrong with this one. I don't think the Monoprice pales in comparison to the i5 on a snare. I think it's just a different sound. If you were literally on a budget and this is the only mic you had to put on a snare, I don't think this would be all that big of a deal. So let's listen to toms now. turn these up a little bit. They're a little low. So here comes tom examples. Switch. So the first one here is the i5. This is the Monoprice. Again, we're hearing that high-endy kind of GAC thing, but this would be some EQ ringing that out a little bit, and I think you'd still get a great sound. I think putting this mic on a tom would be fantastic. I don't see any problem with this. So here's where the mic completely and utterly falls over. I'm going to play Ian's vocal example, and then I'm going to plug the mic in myself and show you in real time what happens and why I think this is a really bad vocal mic. So let's start with our first example.
Check 1, 2. This is me speaking into both mics simultaneously. My heater is on. You can probably hear it humming in the background. These are pointed up at me. I'm kind of leaning down, talking into them. And they're pretty even-keeled as far as my mouth, shooting straight down the middle here. So I'm not feeling up to doing any a cappella vocal stylings for you. So I'm sorry. So this is going to have to be sufficient today.
And it is sufficient. And I believe that the sufficient mic in this example is the i5, which is this one.
Check 1, 2. This is me speaking into both mics simultaneously.
And this is the incredibly gacky Monoprice microphone.
Check 1, 2. This is me speaking into both mics simultaneously.
Again, you would have to be the judge on whether or not you feel like, well, that sounds okay if I just ring that out a little bit. But you notice that the Monoprice microphone really suffers from proximity effect if you listen to this.
Check 1, 2. This is me speaking into both mics simultaneously.
It sounds like he's at a distance from that microphone. We're lacking some of that low end just a little bit. This one.
Check 1, 2. This is me speaking into both mics simultaneously.
It's a little bit fuller, even at a distance. And from a textbook standpoint, we're not necessarily using these mics properly in this test here with the vocals because he's at a distance. But I think it's really obvious this Monoprice microphone really does not bode well. Now I'm going to plug in the Monoprice microphone and show you why I think it makes a terrible vocal mic on stage when very up close. Okay, so this is the Monoprice microphone at $14 as a vocal mic. There is tons of proximity effect. The windscreen inside this mic is really not that great. The EQ on this mixer is flat. There is nothing boosted nor cut. And you can tell that it's just not holding up for vocals at all. And let me show you something. Now, do you notice my mouth was just a little bit away from there, and the sound just completely dies away. Now, watch when I kind of come around to the side. Do you notice, like around to the side a little bit, the quality has dropped off even further. This mic has such a narrow bandwidth to deal with. So this is why I thought it would make a great mic for a tom or a guitar cabinet because of this narrow bandwidth. And for whatever reason, it would minimize bleed from other instruments. And at $14, I'm not going to say it would replace an i5, but I think if you were in a pinch, you could throw this mic on a tom. You could throw it on a clean guitar cabinet and do a little bit of corrective EQ, and you'd probably be all right. So the goal of this video is not to say, is this mic better than an i5? The goal of this video was to at least show you that could you, in a pinch, get away with a $14 microphone somewhere? And I say yes on a tom, on a snare, on a clean guitar, with a little bit of corrective EQ, not on a vocal. This is awful. And this is not even me trying to be douchey towards Monoprice. This is me just kind of saying it the way it is. And I love a lot of Monoprice's stuff. This cable that this mic is plugged into is a Monoprice cable. It's built really thick. It's built strong. And it's like $8 for 15 feet. So you can't go wrong with some of their products. But this, not a very good vocal mic, but a not so bad instrument mic in a pinch. And with that, I'm Kevin Reeves. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be back for more. We've got a bunch of budget mics coming in, and I'm going to show you a couple different things. So stick around for more coming this week, and have a great night.